We'll be going over 5 Farming Simulator 22 records that will never be broken. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more similar videos and leave a like as well. So with how big modern farm machinery is getting, the scale of farming is much bigger than it used to be. And with that comes large records Farming Simulator players are going and setting. The first record we're covering is the biggest harvest. So for this record, the popular farming sim YouTuber StanTheMan did one of the biggest harvests in Farming Simulator 22 using over 18 harvesters and one of the longest road trains, which consisted of 6 different trailers all pulled by one truck. So Stan is quite popular for going and completing these huge challenges in a series called Mega Farming. So you'll probably see his name a few times in this video. When Stan actually pauses the game and revealed the map, you can see that pretty much the whole map has been made into one huge field. So let's go and get into actually how Stan went and did this. So he did this by utilising AI helpers. So all 18 of the combines are being driven by the helpers while he was unloading them with a truck and a huge road trailer trailers, and I think there are about 6 trailers being towed. So the total amount of grain that the trailers could hold was a huge amount. Stan was also using a chasing bin as well, which could hold 140,000 litres of grain, which could then be loaded into the road train. He executed this really well because he could just purely focus on unloading the combines and making sure they didn't stop to get the job done as quickly as possible. He executed this really well because he could purely focus on making sure the combines didn't stop rolling by just focusing on unloading them. The second challenge Stan actually set was feeding over 2,000 cows. So Stan is going and feeding over 2,000 cows, which is a huge amount. In order to go and do this, he is using courseplay in order to do a lot of the field work like mowing, windrowing and baling, and then he is using a large self-propelled feed mixer to go and feed the cattle. But it is important to note that he is filling the feed mixer himself, which does take quite a lot of time. But something I came up with to go and speed this up is he could consider getting a feed mixing station, and this is where you can go and load up a station with all of the inputs, so silage, hay and straw, and then it automatically mixes it up, and you can just go and place a trailer under it and then go and get the TMR. So if you wanted to scale this even bigger, he could go and do that. The third challenge is that Stan actually was feeding over 2,500 sheep. That is 25% bigger than his previous cow challenge. So similar to how he farms the cows, he's using courseplay in order to do a lot of the field work, like the mowing and the baling and collecting the grass, and then he goes and collects the bales and just feeds them to the sheep using a telehandler, which is pretty impressive. However, he does actually go and use an auto loader to then go and load the wool pallets because of how much there is. It would take so long to go and load up all the wool, it wouldn't really be worth it. And sheep are sort of easier, I guess, than farming cattle because they do require fewer inputs. They just need grass, they don't need silage and straw and all that type of stuff. But handling all of the wool is a lot harder than just having a milk, because with milk, you can just have one huge trailer. The next record we're going over is the most silage in one bunker. So in this challenge and record, Stan goes on harvest over 2 million litres of silage. Once again, he has a very efficient operation, just like his main harvesting challenge and record as well. So he does this by running multiple silage harvesters, which are driven by helpers. And one of the harvesters actually has its own storage container as well. I think he has another one with it as well. So essentially the harvester can keep harvesting without a trailer being right next to it. And then he just needs to go and empty the container once it's full. And then Stan has a few other standard harvesters as well, which you can go and use and go and harvest with, while the other harvesters are filling their containers up. And then all he needs to do is go and take the chaff to the silage pit, and with this he went and used a trailer and a truck which could hold a total of 250,000 litres of silage, which is still a huge amount, but it's still pretty efficient because if he's trying to collect 2 million litres, he only needs about 8 loads, but he also had a bigger bunker as well, so he made a lot of silage. And the next record Stan actually set was planting 10,000 trees. Now this is a huge amount of trees. So essentially how we did this was using robot machinery. It was sort of a robot challenge, so I guess to go and provide a little bit of context, Stan went and made a video series on farming on Mars using robot machinery. So in order to go and plant this many trees, he had all of the fields really close together, and then he went and hired workers to go and operate each tractor for him. So he had multiple tractors doing this. Next, he went and toggled the setting, which means you don't need to refill the seeds or trees in this case manually, and instead you just pay for them as the helper uses them. You've probably seen this setting in Farming Simulator. But it is important to note that he did do some of the planting manually as well, so this did mean he had to go and keep refilling the tree plant as well. So then he wasn't just planting, but you then have to go and drive to go and buy the saplings and then go and actually plant them, so it takes much longer. But he was doing some of that with AI workers, which meant they would automatically refill it for them. But yeah, huge fields, planting all these trees, and hopefully by the end you're going to end up with a huge forest. If you enjoyed this video, please go down below and consider subscribing. Huge credit to Stan for all of these awesome records he set and challenges he does. Peace.